Rachel Kadama. I'm from Uganda, and I'm involved with iNetwork in Uganda.
Yes, and then tell us what you've learned so far.
Well, at the conference so far, what we've learned is the various tools, the web2 tools that we can use. We need to know more about how we can apply them, but we've been just talking about headlines, my headlines, CTA, where somebody who gets a lot of information is able to aggregate this information in a single newsletter and receive one newsletter instead of 200 emails or 200 RSS feeds, which makes it much easier in terms of absorbing the content and managing your information and your time and your life, which I find very interesting. But also the power of the other tools in terms of enhancing communication and collaboration, like we discussed in the morning, is very powerful. For example, the blogs, which we can use in terms of communicating with the various stakeholders. That is very key. The wiki, in making collaborations, a lot of people mention examples of how they're using them in project proposal development, in getting their work and content together. I think those are things that we can use straight away in Uganda. Well, at the moment I can't give one specific one that I take back home. But if I had to choose so far from what I've learned, I would take the use of wikis in terms of collaboration, because iNetwork is a forum of so many people. There are 850 people, and even then the people who work at the core still work geographically dispersed, and we need some way in which we can collaborate. So a wiki presents a very great tool for us to be able to do that. The challenge, of course, remains the internet.
I'm from Lusaka, Zambia. I run the e-Brain Forum of Zambia Secretariat in Lusaka, based in Kabelenga Road, this construction building. A lot of interesting things. Firstly, some background about where we're coming from. We started with Web 1.0, which was mostly static, and it was about the experts putting up information which users would then be able to access and to see. But now the shift to Web 2.0 generation is about users generating content, users being in control of information. And there are various tools that have been on display from the morning session and this afternoon. It's quite a lot of. The danger is that there are so many tools available, and it's very easy to get information overload. So you have to first understand the work that you're doing, and then try to look up the tools that best suited to what you're trying to do. It's better that you try out one or two tools and see how they're best suited to your work. Is a knowledge and information sharing network, and I run the secretariat that is responsible for disseminating information and facilitating information sharing throughout the network. So from this conference, from the tools that I've learned, already I can see the potential of these tools making my work more efficient and more productive, and being able to reach out to a wider audience. As e-Brain Forum of Zambia, we work along what we call thematic areas, which means we work with stakeholders in agriculture, work with stakeholders in education, in health, in different thematics. So to manage all these different groups, you need to have tools that enable people to collaborate and share more effectively and more efficiently. And this is what I hope to go and share back home. This.
My name is Kwame II. I'm coming from Ghana.
Yes, and then tell us what you have learned so far.
Today was very interesting. A lot of issues were discussed about Web 2.0. And what I'm taking back include one that you need to actually understand the tools before you can use them effectively. And there is this challenge about information overload. And one of the ways of managing them is to use tags or bookmarks within a community of practice who share your interests. Okay, I use Web2 tools for training. So wikis, for example, we use it to teach journalists how they can do virtual newsroom. So we can have one journalist sitting in Accra, another sitting in another town called Tamale or Ho or in Ghana, but they can all work together using wiki to produce stories. And that is quite, the tools, the wiki is free, so they can now have access to a virtual newsroom without having to invest in a lot of technology.
Organization. And
I'm working for the strategic use and capacity building program of the Association for Progressive Communications. We're based in Johannesburg, but I live in I learned that it's not as easy to link the tools that we came to talk about with people's experience. So I imagine people have a lot of expectations, but it proves to be more complicated to run through the issues they have in plenary like that, plenary session like the one we had. So it seems like it would need much more work with hands-on work with specific tools, and working with people like one-to-one or forming small groups according to the interest they have. For which we call this taster day, so it's not proper training, and we would actually need a couple of days like that to be able to go through all we would like to cover. We use some of them quite extensively, like wikis. We use, of course, Skyping. We are starting to use tagging. We're publishing a new website now, which is built on a CMS that does support tagging, and we're actually not Web 2.0 experts. We're using some tools, but in terms of some other ones, we're quite beginners. So that's also a reason why we were interested to come here, not just like organizers, because we're not subject experts, in fact, but also to learn how others are using it.